Since Jenny had already prayed, I'll go straight into the discussion. The topic we have for today is spiritual growth of our children, the spiritual growth of the next generation. I'm also happy for the grandparents here, and what I want to say is that, we have the responsibility to take care of the next generation. Okay, so if you miss it with your children, don't be too disheartening. Forget about them and go for the grandchildren. Okay, put your focus and your attention and everything right with the grandchildren.
Okay na kanina.
Okay, so a few things I would like to say to train up a child, like Sister Janet said, train up a child the way they should go, so that when they grow up, they will not depart. Okay, so let's do this. First things first. You have to do the first one first, and then the second one will follow. But most Christians and most people around the world, we want to get the second one, and we don't want to do the first one. Okay, but I want to reverse it. Let's do the first one first. Train them first when they can be trained, so that when they grow up, there's no headache. It's easy. It just flows. Okay? So let's catch them young. I want to change the topic a little bit. I want to talk about powerful parenting in the 21st century. Okay, so how you can be powerful. Because there's a lot of things going on around the world that makes people afraid of what is in store for the next generation. But I'm not afraid. Because once you get it right in the beginning, the ending will be great. Okay, I wake up every morning with a high expectation of good stuff happening. I'm always waiting for good news for my children. So number one, to have a spiritual control in your house and let your children grow up in the spirit, in the way of the Lord, is you must be present. Parents, I encourage you, you have to be present. You can't leave your spiritual upbringing of your children to the teacher, to the education system, to the community, to the society. It's not going to happen. They will not do it. You can't even trust the government. I encourage you, please, take control, be present, be there in the house, at home, in their school, in their sports game. Everywhere they go, be present. Is that right? Just be present. Be present. I know you are busy in the mining town, everybody is busy, you are working 14 hours a day. What are you going to take the money, what are you going to do with the money? Is if you make all the millions and you lose your child, where is that million going to take you? So be present. That's where we're going to start. If you are not present, it's not going to happen. Okay? So don't have wishful thinking that I wish my children were spiritual. If you are not present, it's not going to happen. So be present at home. Okay, let's take it from there. Be the example. You see, parents are supposed to lead. You have to lead. Children, because we have all been children before. Is that right? We've all been children before. Okay, we copy. We just copy. So if they are not copying you, they are copying their friends. We even copy from the TV. When I was a child, I copy. If they show it, I'll copy. Okay, so you have to lead. You have to start the spiritual journey. Your children must see you praying. They must see you singing worship songs at home. They must see you reading your Bible. They must see you going to the church. Okay, back at home, going to church on Sunday was not a problem. But when we came here, they had games. They had sports games. We joined the sports club, and they have a game on Sunday. I told them we are not playing any Sunday game. No Sunday game. Unless you play Sunday afternoon, we are not coming. Count us out. Even if it's the final, I'm not playing. None of my children will play on Sunday. Is that right? Be the example. You got to take the lead. Whatever example you take, your children will go higher. They will do better than you. That's the idea. Okay, you set the foundation and they build higher. So if you set a bad example, they will do ×2 of the bad. Just be the example. You know why God blessed Abraham so much? Only one qualification. God said about Abraham, he said that I know that Abraham would teach his children after him. That's it. One reason. If you cannot lead your own children and you are the chief executive officer of a mining company, what is it for? If you are I don't know the title I'll give you. I prefer to be called a dad, a father, more than chief geologist. I prefer to be called a parent, okay, more than the CEO. So lead them, just give the example, just be the example. If you want them to go to church, go to the church first. Don't say that I'm going to play tennis, go to church. I have some friends, that's what they do. They will drop their children and their wife at church and they go and play golf on Sunday morning. I told them I'm not coming. So be the example. Okay, 5 children that they know nothing. There's no example apart from to serve in the church. That's all they know. That's all they know. Thursday, I bring them here. They don't want to pray, but we'll still come and pray. They will sit at the back. I will pray. I will shout. Just be the example. Is that right? If you want your children to be spiritual, be the example. There was one time I was trying to get my kids to read. Okay, so I can say everything in the way. Read. They were not reading. So that thing dawned to me, oh, you got to be the example. So I started reading. I've read over 200 books since then. And I'll sit in the place where they will see me reading. Intentionally, I will not hide it. So now they started reading on their app, on their phone. One of them doesn't like reading. He started listening to the audio books. But I'm the example. So be the example, please. If you want them to smile, you got to smile. You got to force yourself. Everything you want your children to be, just be. Is that right? Be patient. Be hardworking. Be spiritual. Wake up early. Pray to God. Make noise when you are praying. Talk loud so that they can hear you. No, I disturb in the house. I sing in the bathroom. I shout in praises. I put YouTube. When I find a song that is nice, I send it to all my kids. Whether they like it or not, it doesn't matter. When I'm reading the Bible and I find a good scripture, I send it all to the text message. We have no excuse. You have the gadget already. Let's use it. Be the example. Be the encourager. Encourage them. Come on, let's go. We can do it. Let's go. Let's go to church. It's awesome to be in church. Let's go. Let's go. No, we can do it. It's raining. It's raining. Dad, it's raining. No, we can go. Let's go. Let's go. Be the encourager. When things are hard, just tell them we can make it. With God on our side, everything is going to be okay. You got to be an encourager to your children. You see, I know some mothers, they go to work and they are so nice at work. They treat the workers and the other colleagues amazing. They will even make coffee for the boss. And then they come home and they think something else. Just encourage your kids. Encourage them. Encourage them. You see, that's the first responsibility, is your family. Your first number one responsibility, I believe that the highest calling of God is the call of a parent. Not a pastor, not evangelist, not a prophet. The first call, the most important and the highest call is the call of a parent. So if you are a parent, you have to see it as a calling. So encourage your children, encourage them, be the encourager. You see, all the sports that my children play, I was there. I'll be at the training, at the games, I was there. I coach. When Claude was playing soccer, I coached Claude on the touchline. They have a coach who coaches the whole team, but I'm the Claude's coach. So when he gets the ball, I'm running with him. Kick the ball, give a pass. And then when he finish, high five. Especially when he get a goal, it's amazing. We celebrate together. Be the encourager. Encourage your children. You see, when your child is good at mathematics, encourage them. Push. Don't compare, oh, those guys are good at art. And so what? I don't care about art. My son is the best in mathematics. Mathematics, that's what we are talking about. So find out where they are good and be the encourager. So if we are talking about being a spiritual upbringing of our children, encourage them with the things of God. Marian's son, one of them here. When we come to church, I always sit here. And I have a way I dance. And I clap my hands, not knowing they were watching me. When they come to church, they will not dance. They went home, and he was doing the same thing. And Ma said, what is this? He said, oh, one of my uncles has been dancing like that in church. Encourage them. He said, don't come to church, praise and worship. Right? Raise your hands. Sing to the Lord. Encourage them. It's a nice thing to worship God, but let them see it from you. And finally, be their challenger. Challenge them. There's only two things I do with my kids. I encourage and I challenge. Challenge them every time. Let them memorize the scriptures. For the last 3 years, I'm pushing them. Read the whole Bible. Start from Genesis, read to Genesis, read to Revelation. Start. Have you finished? I'm giving them an encouraging. One of them said, oh, no, we have to do it when I'm ready. I said, no, let's do it now. Just do it. Encourage them. Okay, so I encourage them to go ahead, but I challenge. Like if you get 90, you know what I say? Instead of I say, well done, good and faithful servant. I say, where is the 10? Challenge them. If they get 95, where is the 5? So they always know. They know that they have to be top of the class. The best of the best. Is that right? So we are going to lead. We're going to encourage. And then we're going to challenge. But if you are not present, it's not happening. I have some of my friends, actually, they finish from work, they come home, but they are still not present. Because they are on Facebook. And they're checking their email and checking work. And just leave the work at work. Don't come home with a laptop. Leave it there. Just walk home free and be there. Just be present. Is that all right? So we want our children to be spiritual, but you must be present. And then you must give them the example. The example is just you are leading. Take care of yourself. Make sure that you are good in the presence of God. You are doing right with God. And then they follow. Because if you yourself, you are doubting in your brain whether you go to heaven or not, it's very difficult for your children to follow. Okay, so satisfy yourself that you go to heaven. Make that decision for yourself. Is that all right? Amen. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you so much, Pastor Peter. Thank you so much. I think if you haven't taken anything, he says we should be present. That's the ultimate, be present. You can't be patient. You can't be the challenger. You can't be the encourager if you are not there. I know it's hard, yeah? It's really hard. You come back from when and you don't have anything to do with the kids because you're way too tired, but you need to be present if we want to get this thing right. We open the floor for 2 questions. If you have any question that you want to ask Pastor Peter on what he has delivered, we open the floor for 2 questions. Okay.
Yeah, it means that you are a very good student. Yeah. The guys online, anybody has a question? No. Okay. Thank God.
But you can put your questions down. Just in case something pop up, you can put it down. After the session, you have the chance to ask all the questions that you want to have. God bless you so much, Pastor Peter. You have really blessed us. We know from now you are going to be present, no matter how hard it is. We're going to find the time to do that. Thank you so much. The second on our list, we've got Dr. Bolanle. She's my special friend. She's going to present on the topic digital technology usage for our kids, which is very, 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 very crucial in this time and age. So the floor is hers.
Thank you so much, Miriam. Can you hear me very well? All right. Thank you so much, Miriam, and I want to appreciate the pastor and the members of the Oasis Church for giving me the honor and the privilege to share on this topic. It's quite extensive, and I was told I was given 20 minutes. I'll try and speak, way better than Pastor Peter. I mean, he gave the words, straight on, but I have about 32 slides, but I'll try and rush through it. All right. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, so that's the agenda there. So I'm going to be talking about online safety, social media, when to give devices to our children, screen addiction, and final takeaways. All right. So just a little humor there. I would say I'm a bit disappointed. I would expect, this kind of seminar to be packed, even to the overflow there. If it was something that had to do with entertainment, maybe an actor or a musician, or even a disco, you will see this place filled up to the brim. But a very critical topic like this, like parenting, we are sparse here. It's one of the most challenging things we can do. It's a calling, like Pastor Peter said, and I would have expected this place to be filled up. So, we bless God for those that are here to learn. Okay. I'm not sure what's happening. Okay. So I'm also going to be looking at my slides on my phone here. All right. So we live in a digital age. Screen is all around us. I'm sure we all have our mobile devices here. We have phones, tablets, screen, TV, smart TVs, like we call them now. And the aim of this discussion is not to discourage anyone, because there are some hard truths that are here. I'm not here to guilt trip anyone or point fingers, about, I'm a bad parent, I'm a terrible parent. But rather, it's supposed to give us some knowledge and create awareness on how best to prepare our children for technology, even our caregivers, grandparents, aunties, uncles, and those around us, on how best to navigate digital technology. Oh, sorry, I think I pressed it twice. All right. So why do we use digital technology? We use it, for communication, call our friends, interact with our coworkers, our frenemies, family members, and also for our children. We give them safety devices, just to make sure that, they are safe in terms of emergency. You want to contact them. And when they go out and hanging out with their friends, you want to make sure, reach out to them, where they are per time. And also for educational purposes, homework, do research, playing games, coding, also social interaction. There are a lot of social media platforms that are out there, and kids and young people, and even adults, we are on social media in some form of way or the other. And we post our pictures, we want to post pictures, videos, reels, want to share with your family members. And for those who live in diaspora, you want to show them that, okay, I'm doing fine, I went to this party, You show your friends and cousins at home, so you engage with your peers, even the young ones as well, to to engage with their peer groups. On the flip side, why do parents, give digital technology to their kids? We want to stop the constant nagging and the tantrums. I need a nanny. The kids are bothering me. I've come home from work. I'm so tired and exhausted. Someone is pulling on your clothes. Mommy, come and see my new toy. I'm like, gosh, I'm just tired. Take. When they are throwing a tantrum, they're crying and screaming, rolling on the floor, you hand them a device. Also, for a rite of passage, oh, you're now 5 years old. Here's your tablet. You're 10. Here's your smart screen. You are 15. Take. Okay? And want to keep up with the Joneses. My friend in school has a tablet, a smartphone, a smart car, a smart this, a smart that. Mom, I need mine. Oh, that's true. If I don't give you, I'll feel I'm poor. Take. Then road trip companions. Are we there yet? Syndrome. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Keep the kids quiet. I want peace and quiet on a 7-hour trip to Perth. I don't want anyone to disturb me. You take, you take, you take. Everyone is on their screen throughout. And we all have a nice trip. All right. Also, sibling rivalry. For those who have kids, like Pastor Peter has 5 children. They are quarreling, they are fighting, bickering, just want some peace and quiet. You give this one, you give that one. Mom, you've given my brother a screen, I don't have one. Oh, that's true, so that you stop fighting. Everyone gets a gadget. And kids that don't want to interact, don't want to come out. It's time for dinner, don't want to bother, just give them. So some statistics here. In 2020, I got this from the Australian Communications and Media Authority. And it says, that was at 2020, yep. About 46% of Australian children aged between 6 and 13 use a mobile gadget in some form or the other. And the average age is about 13 years. And teachers today say that teenagers are so distracted by their smartphones. That's all they worry about. And it's a big concern. 15% of parents actually know what their kids do online. And 44% of teenagers have reported to be exposed to some inappropriate content. Well, that's not good. That's supposed to be 60. Yeah. They've been exposed to inappropriate content online. Maybe in the course of doing their homework, doing some research, they've been exposed. Also, about 60% of children between 8 and 16 have accessed porn online. And let me just say for a fun fact, if anyone watches porn in their home, even if you're an adult, you have created a pathway for your kids. So even if your router is so, restricted, but you are watching something inappropriate in your house, your kids will have access to it. About 70% of children who play in games online have stumbled upon. That is alarming. Okay. Now to online safety, just to run through quickly. As parents and caregivers, we have an important role to protect our children from harm online. We can't say they should not use technology. We need it around us. Even for us as parents, we use technology every day at our work, but we have to protect our children, and it's our responsibility. You must protect your child. Parenting is your role. You can't outsource parenting. And although having access can be a positive experience, there are risks involved. We talked about porn, and also sexual exploitation is on the rise nowadays online, and it's a form of abuse. Children who have gadgets and share maybe photos or videos, or they're just doing stuff, maybe posting stuff on YouTube, or they do arts and craft. It has created an avenue for them to be exploited. And sometimes you have predators online who pretend to be kids and start chatting them, and some can fall prey to this. So you have to be informed about this. And there are also, this is a form of non-physical form of abuse. We only talk about, physical abuse, sexual abuse, but there's also non-physical forms of abuse, and this is one of them. And that's not conservation, it's conversations. So we can't have conversation around sex with our children without discussing technology and media. All right. So I've talked about the exploitation. And you can't trust the internet. You can only trust your children, but you don't know what is out there. You can't protect them fully, but you have to take charge on what they do and what they're exposed to. That's why you have to monitor them every time they're online. Even if they're using it for homework, I just want to check something for my assignment. You have to be in charge and monitor what they are doing. And never expose your children to internet except they are around a trusted adult. So you choose who that trusted adult will be and don't allow them to have unrestricted access online. And you cannot, okay, I said you can't trust the internet. So let them be monitored each time they are online. Social media. There are lots and lots of social media platforms nowadays. And like I mentioned earlier, we share content, videos, images with our friends, families, and even live streaming. We do that online. We like it when someone likes our post, someone engages with our post, gives a nice comment. It sort of fuels our ego, and we love it. And some statistics from the Black Dog Institute, that's like a platform that has to do with mental health for people, for children or people in general. It says about 28% of adolescents spend about 4 hours a day on social media. Even adults are guilty of this. Sometimes we scroll aimlessly, laugh and watch skits and just laugh aimlessly. And we say we are busy. And the statistics also says that 80% of adolescents, they communicate with people they know, maybe their friends, family members, while 70% just view other people's content. I would say this is not only adolescents, this is also for adults as well. And some have safety features, so you need to sign up and verify, you put in your date of birth, your age, which allows you access to it. And most platforms, even the gaming apps, say, I think some of them, they have an age restriction of 13, some say 16. I'm not sure, but make sure you do your due diligence when signing up your children to such apps. And especially for live streaming, we have to be very, very careful because you are streaming in real time. And sometimes when other people have access to it, you get exposed. As for children who are overly excited, want to post online, sometimes they fall prey to maybe strangers. Some people screenshot, they call it, I've forgotten the name of, there's a name for it, whereby they would film it, because I think an app like Snapchat, thank you very much, see? Snapchat, it has like a timeline, so the video disappears into the cloud, sort of, but it doesn't really leave. And some people film this and save it and use it to blackmail children. So it's a form of exploitation. So be very careful when your teenagers, even your young children, are streaming live or just innocently, recording a video. It can go into the atmosphere. And we also teach our children to be consumers. So children don't create value online. They're just there scrolling and scrolling. You're not contributing anything. You see a comment, someone cracks a joke, you write a nasty comment and post, and it's funny. And you're leaving a digital footprint online, and you get exposed to all sorts of nonsense because you are resting or you're relaxing. All right, so more frequent use of social media, we use it to scroll, like I said, and it has been linked to high levels of mental health issues, especially in young ones. You see them becoming so anxious, they are depressed, they can't sleep, they struggle with a whole lot of body and self-image issues, all because they're exposed to, the hazard of social media. You see other people, I think there's even a group for people who like an anorexia kind of group. Like there are groups there where they share tips and tricks on how to stay fit. Is that not madness? And you have a lot of young people following such. You see the latest fashion, so many inappropriate and nonsense or garbage online from aimless scrolling. And children who can contribute positively to the world and their environment are built outside of screen. Teach your children responsibility, build skills into them, impact knowledge and values into them rather than screen. And teach them to be good digital citizens. So if you're going to give a gadget, you have to watch, and instill those values into them on how not to be rude online, how not to be indiscreet, how to interact when they're online, what to watch and what not to watch. But we'll get to that later. And do your own due diligence and do your research in determining which app or site is suitable for your child before you sign them up on it. Also, limiting the information your child should be sharing online, you have to equip them with it. Some just say all sorts of nonsense. You post all your family, challenges, someone you're fighting with, your mom did you wrong, you post it online. All your struggles, I'm dealing with, you post it online. And you want the so-called internet aunties and uncles to advise you. Well done. So when do we give our children gadgets? So before you give your children gadgets or phones, or even now, we don't even call them smartphones. Yeah, everything is smart. So I'm sure there are some tablets that have call functions and stuff like that, even some watches. So when do we give them? It's not only phones, but smart gadgets. You have to set the stage for safety and security and get them ready for what to expect. Upskill them instead of just handing device based on age. Not, you're 5 years old, take. It's like giving a child keys to a car and tell them go and drive a car because you're not 18. And they have no training whatsoever. And you assess readiness. Otherwise, you ruin that child for life. And if age is the only consideration you look at when giving devices, you destroy them without knowing. So first of all, are they mature enough to handle the responsibility that involves with these gadgets? Do they know what it is? Or mommy buys me credit and she funds my lifestyle, pays it when it's due every month, and I just flaunt the latest gadget, iPhone 16, showing off to your friends. Are they mature enough to handle this? Can they regulate themselves? Can they manage their own impulses? Can they limit it when it's time to turn the screen off? Mom doesn't have to shout, daddy doesn't have to shout, grandma doesn't have to shout at me. You hand it in. What are the actions and consequences that are involved when you handle your devices? What are the long-term implications, especially leaving digital footprints online, where people share all sorts, and all sorts of challenges. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of teenagers or Gen Zs, they come up with all sorts of crazy challenges, and it spreads like wildfire. Who can go nude most, who can set themselves on fire most, and they start posting it online. Then situational awareness, especially when you're on road trips. They have no idea, they're just glued to the screen. They don't know what is happening around them. They are lost. I'm sure if there's a fire in the building, no one knows what to do. Okay? So what goes on around you? Cultural intelligence, no clues. Body safety, no clues, but they're on the screen. When you give them access to the world without boundaries, you're setting them up for disaster. Especially when, I've noticed something. I've traveled on the train a lot, and most kids that have the gadgets, when the internet goes, you know how they are, they become restless. They start throwing tantrums, they start to cry, and the parents don't know what to do. I'm telling you. And they start to punch and get frustrated because the games are not working, the internet is not working, and they start to have meltdowns. The parents don't know what to do. Parents give them the phone, take, the internet goes, the children are crying. We are watching a movie, the internet goes, everything is in chaos. They can't focus, they can't concentrate because of the gadgets. So are you ready for that? Emotional stability to handle what goes on social media without becoming agitated, without breaking down mentally. You have a lot of trolls online, the so-called aunties and uncles. You don't know who these people are. You are seeking advice. Help me. How do I avoid talking to my mom? She's stressing me out. You hear all sorts of people advising you what to do. And some can be extreme. They tell them, go and kill yourself. And the child starts to cry. Or they shame them. Or if you just post a video of yourself, you're just dancing to a nice song, and someone says, who's this one? Your head is so big, you're so black, you're so fat, go and kill yourself. Even adults struggle with these things on social media, not to talk of young people. And there's a high incidence of, anxiety, like I mentioned. These are just short forms. SI means suicidal ideation. HI means homicidal ideation. TOSH means thoughts of self-harm. So it's on the increase because they are not able to handle what goes on social media, not emotionally stable enough to handle that. Then can they follow instructions, respect boundaries? Most of our kids, when they are bored, mommy's phone, daddy's phone, grandma's phone. You just reach for your phones. You don't have boundaries. And we as parents, we just give it to them just to keep them quiet. We have to train our children to know that our phones are not toys. If you need a toy, go and play with your toys. Go and read a book. How many children read books? Pastor Peter said that. How many children can read books? Can you sit on a train and read a book? Can you do a puzzle? I know sometimes they give puzzle to kids on toys or coloring. They don't do that. Rather, they are rolling on the floor because there's no internet. Okay? So being online doesn't mean that you are savvy in terms of technology, but you're just a consumer, just scrolling around. It doesn't make you a tech genius. You're just using it for entertainment. Can you manage your time? Combining managing homework, your chores, that's another topic. How many children do chores? Okay? So can you create a balance? Even us as parents, can you manage your time? Rather, you're watching skits, prank videos. I'm talking to you parents, and myself. and myself. We're watching prank videos, we're watching challenges, we're just laughing, someone making some funny comment online, and we want our kids to do the same. Okay. Decision-making skills. Can they make decisions independently without you being there? It's not major life decisions, but just the basic ones. And they don't have to wait for us to snatch the phones from them. I've talked about age. Then social development, especially teenagers that are going through puberty. It's another ballgame entirely. They are struggling with a lot of body issues. Their body is changing. The hormones are playing up and down. And you toss them into social media where they become prey to the online world. I've talked about it. Then family dynamics. What are your family values? In the home, you as parents, what are your guiding principles in your home? What are your core values in your home? Pastor Peter talked about role modeling. You as a parent, how is your own digital journey before you give your children phones? So I think this is, so screen addiction. So when you're on screen, we use, like I mentioned, we use screen. Screen is good, but you have to be very careful and well informed. And learning on screen is unidirectional. Most times it's not interactive. You just regurgitate. Peppa Pig, you say everything. You sing and dance. It's just one directional. But to actually learn, you have to interact with your environment, and you have to interact with real people, not people on the screen. For children, especially young ones, you need hands-on activity. Expose your children to their talents. Like I'm taking cues from what Peter said. Expose them. Can they read? Can they do puzzles? Can they play Lego? Can they run around and play with sand? How many kids play with sand nowadays? Climb trees, take them to the park, running around, but they're always on the screen. I was watching a clip on 60 Minutes Australia about the effects of screen, and what I saw broke my heart. There were a couple of kids. They were so bound. I would call it bondage. They were in their room, they played games. I don't want to promote any games or anything, but there's a popular game online. The child plays the game 16 hours a day on the bed. The parents drop the food outside of the door. When the child is done, the parents come in. They don't come in, you knock, and the child says, come in, pick the plate and take it out. So the child was always on the bed 16 hours a day. It was so bad that one of the kids they interviewed had stopped going to school totally. He hadn't gone to school for 2 years because he can't go to school. Okay? So there was one before then, All right. So handing out gadgets, especially to younger children, is a pathway to internet addiction. And the high rate of screen addiction in children is alarming. Okay. It's alarming. And excess screen time distorts the brain, especially the decision-making skills part of the brain, the frontal part of the brain, their emotions and self-control. That's why you find kids, because it's like a drug. So people who consume recreational substances and they don't have access to it, what do you see in them? They start to withdraw, they start to get agitated, restless, all those symptoms. It's the same thing that happens when kids become addicted to screen. and you snatch it away, and you see them rolling on the floor, and you start banging their heads, throwing all sorts of tantrums and meltdown. Okay? Because for teenagers as well, they find their self-esteem on this screen. And when they're exposed right from a young age, they struggle with identity issues. And you know all sorts of garbage that goes on online, where today they tell you can be a dog, tomorrow you can be a girl, tomorrow I don't even know what I want to be. And of course, exposure to illicit content. I've talked about tantrums and inappropriate content online. Then screen autism is on the rise. A lot of so-called neurodivergent things that we see in children, ADHD, we say, oh, he has ADHD. If you look closely, I'm not saying those conditions are, they should be swept under the carpet. They are not real. They are real. Some do struggle with it. But of recent times, we found a rise in the number of these so-called diagnoses. You diagnose kids with autism, ADHD, antisocial, all sorts of personality disorders. You start to label them and label them and label them. And one of the components that they found to contribute to this is a lot of excessive screen for young children when they're exposed right from when they are young. Even as young as 6 months old, you see them, just put them in front of the screen constantly, all day, every day. And it's also been shown to cause speech delay in children. It affects cognitive development, social skills, even medical conditions like obesity, like the child I said stays on the screen 16 hours a day, just confined to the bed, doesn't get up, doesn't see the sun, does nothing. Even academics, it's been shown that excessive screen time and screen addiction are factors that lead to these issues. Rather, screen should be an enhancer. It shouldn't be your sole form of learning and development. 10 minutes more. 3 minutes more. Oh, okay. All right. All right. So let's talk about that. Then sleep issues, physical health issues. I've talked about that. Cognitive problems. Then for young children, their fine motor skills, cutting paper, playing with paper, tearing paper. But rather, you're just pressing and punching and punching and punching. Please look into that. Okay, I have a lot of screen. Then, okay. Is that all? Okay, I have 3 minutes. Let me just wrap up. All right. So final was, your technology should be an enhancer, not a replacement. The screen is not your nanny. I'll also say, find time to parent your children. Your child is your responsibility. Whether you plan to have them or not, they are here. Parent them. Create a media plan in your home. Sit down with your children and draft what is appropriate and what is not. Have clear rules and expectations when using digital technology, including screen. Then create an environment for learning. Everything is not screen. Let your children cut pieces of paper. Let them play with Play-Doh. Get sand for them. Let them play. Then create structures and routine in your home. Don't use screen as an escape route for boredom. Children need to be bored. Boredom creates creativity in them. When you shut it down with screen, you've killed something in them. Empower your children instead. Parenting is a marathon, not a sprint. It's a long-term investment. Parents are threading a pathway of least resistance when you hand them screen, especially crying children. In the long run, we let our children down when we parent like this. Thank you. So these are...
Awesome. We will let our children down when we parent like this. A bit scary, but God will help us. God will certainly help us. Now, if we didn't know, now we know. And if you are following what is happening today, you can see it's connected. Pastor Peter says you have to be present. If you are not present, you can't have those controls. Because you are not present, you are busy doing other stuffs. Scrolling on TikTok, the reels and everything, you just hand it over to them. Yeah, there you go. Because you're not present. So us being present will help us to be able to guide them. Just like Bola said, you can't just hand over your car keys to your kid just because they are age appropriate and go and drive. You're going to kill them. Let's be present. So now we open the floor for any questions. If there are any questions. Yep. Mrs. Dr. Man. You have 2 questions. No, I've got a loud voice. Okay, good.
I just wanted to maybe an addition social media makes us, not just social media, but anything technology, makes us shun away from those things. And so our kids engage in those things and we have no idea. Just an experience that I had whilst having some kids. And this very young girl in year 6 is on TikTok. The mother is very grown, has no idea what all these social media stuff is about. The girl has got a phone. So the girl is on TikTok showing some stuff from my husband and I. So we're like, how can she be here? Children online privacy protection act. If you are not careful, you cannot access those things. So she's doing something illegal. So we were worried, and then we called them. We know the parents, so we called them. And first we contacted the elder brother, and still it was ongoing because we were monitoring. It was ongoing, and then we now contacted the mother, and it has somehow gone down, and not entirely. She's still gone. So what I want to say is that there are so many things happening around this Gen Z lifestyle. So we parents from the millennial environment, we should try and catch up with them. You can't really be at par, but try and know what's happening so that you can head it. Because they do a whole lot of things at your blind side. And you might think, oh, it's their life. I don't want to get to know maybe doing something bad. So and also 13 years is the time or the year when a child can access these things. I'm so happy that Australia is planning to get into 16 years, which is better as it stands now. But a child is accessing social media and they are not 18 years, then we are doing something illegal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's really important. Yeah. You have to know because. Yeah.
Great. What I want to say is that parents, let's be parents. A parent must be a parent. Your kid is not your friend. Let's understand that there's a huge line of dichotomy. You are the adult in the house. What is temper tantrums? Who hasn't done that before? Let them cry. Let them roll on the ground. Let them. I was going to say that in students. The African in him. Be the parent, and you call the shots in the house.
Thank you so much. Please be the parent. You are the master of the home. You become a parent before you become a friend. You have to be present. You have to know what is going on around you. If you are not picking anything, at least these points you should not forget. Be present. Know what's happening before you hand them over. You hand whatever to them. Make sure you know what you're giving to them. Make sure they understand. They have rules. They have boundaries. Don't just let them be just for your peace of mind's sake. Be a parent. If you don't get it right now, we are going to suffer in retirement. We don't want to have that to happen.
So can I just quickly add to that? For those who have handed the devices to their children, I'm not saying go home and collect it. It's not a matter of too late, Pastor, but you have to replace it. You can't just take it and say, go and do something. You have to replace it gradually. It's like telling someone who has been using drugs and say, oh, just go to rehab. It doesn't work that way. So you have to replace it. And if they've done some things that, you are not proud of, don't just throw them out to the dogs. That is when you should show love to them, bring them back, and let them know the consequences of what they've done, and begin to reroute yourself, and don't bash them. And sometimes if you need seeking professional help, please do it. One of the credits I put in there was the Australian Federal Police Think You Know website. It's a platform where the government monitors, thank you, Think You Know. It's one of the platforms where the government monitors any form of exploitation, abuse online for children, and it's quite safe. So you can reach out to them. So there's help available. It's not the end of the world, even if they are online. And we have to be aware. You must have time to parent your children. That's the mantra. You must create it.
Thank you. Now we will invite Pastor Peter back again for the third section. It's okay. Last question. Yeah.
The question I want to ask is, just like myself, far away, as in miles away from the family, how would you like to monitor?
Okay, thank you very much. So even if you are away from your children, even if, let's say, they are overseas and you are here, you have to create that connection. That's the first thing. Connecting with them. If it means calling them after work, how was your day? What happened today? Speaking to each and every one of them. So connection, connect with them. Asking them things as simple as, oh, what did your best friend do today? What did you eat today? So it starts from there, gradually. Once you have that connection with them, they begin to open up to you. So you begin to enter their world and you begin to find out what goes on there. And they might say some things that will tick you off and you will raise your head and say, but, just listen to them and process it and begin to find ways to navigate it. But without connecting with your children, you cannot know what is happening. You can't have access into their world. You can't. So it's not enough to say, oh, robot, how are you? How was your day? That's it. No. Come down to their level. Ask them simple questions. We're not saying that you should be their friend. You be their parent, but you use friendship as a tool to parent them. Without that, you just be a dad who is just there. So start building that connection with them. I'm sure you will know each and every one of your children, what each one likes, what the other person doesn't like. You know their strengths and their weaknesses. So come down to that level and begin to navigate, that path. It's not going to be a 360 turnaround overnight, but make the first step and begin to walk that path. And I believe gradually things will work out for you. And please try as much as possible to get everyone together in one place. Absolutely. Yeah, I understand.
Some of us, the men,
Yeah.
because you say, oh, we're going for work to look for money, look after the family. We turn up, turning blindside and leaving everything to the women. And this is where things get out of hand. So I think it's our responsibility. Wherever you are, you can monitor.
Yes.
Because I did one before, that is 4 years ago. I have an 18-year-old child who 1 a.m. midnight on social media. His mother was even sleeping, and I saw her. Give her a call. I said, "Where is the boy?" I said, "I said, no, check on him. This is what he's doing at this time." But I think it's both the mother and the father. I know I've not been here for a long time, but I've observed so many things. I know there have been a lot of separations and marriages and other stuff, but that doesn't stop us from being a parent. Even if you separate as a father or a mother, we need to come together and join some consensus which will help our children to be better.
Yeah. That's very good. And find a parenting, your partners. You can't parent alone. You need a village, your own village. Look for them. I know sometimes circumstances happen, life happens, things don't pan out the way we expect. It doesn't mean that there's no solution. There is. So look for your own village. For people who don't have, maybe your spouse is not here from some reason or the other, look for someone who can parent along with you and can support you on that journey. You can't parent alone. And don't leave it for one person. A child who does well is the father's child. A child who misbehaves is this one's child. It doesn't work like that. No. You do your part as a parent. Don't leave it to someone else alone. Don't outsource your parent. It's your primary responsibility. Like I said, whether you plan that they should be here or not, they are here.
Thank you. I know we're going to run out of time today, but it's for a good cause. It is for a good cause. It's not time wasted. And I know it's going to pay off. So don't be in a rush. just dedicate today for being an intentional parent. And I know you're going to reap. So we will invite Pastor Peter to talk to us about connection and discipline of our kids.
So as a speaker, usually I like to change things a little bit. So I'm going to make this one discipline in the 21st century. I like the word 21st century so much. So how do we discipline in the 21st century? It's a big challenge for everybody, okay, for parents, grandparents, even for the children themselves. They are confused. They don't know what they are doing. And they're trying to stretch the limits. They're testing the waters. So it's a very complex area. But what have we done to survive this and bring up 5 beautiful kids in the 21st century in a foreign land? What did we do? So just a few tips I would like to share with you. So this thing has been going around. So train them so that when they grow, they will not depart. Okay, train them, not bring them up. Not give gadgets, give, train them. And these days you can train online, you can train remote, you can train, I just love training. I train people everywhere. Okay, so you are the trainer, you are the coach, you are the teacher, you are the pastor, you are the prophet, you are everything. Is that all right? So train them. If you don't start early, it's too late at the other side. Okay, so start them early. Take control, do the training. So what we're going to look at is what works and what doesn't work. But before I go into that, I want to share these tips with you. So this is how kids grow up. Okay, and all of us, this is how we all grew up. Okay, so 0 to 6, kid is forming their self-esteem. Okay, and self-esteem comes from what they are hearing. So if mom and dad, you are always backbiting and you are saying bad things about other people around the dining table, your kids are picking it up from age 0. If you are saying bad things about your pastor, bad things about the prime minister, bad things about, what they hear, that's all, they pick it. If you're giving them the gadget all the time and they're only listening and watching videos and YouTube and things, that's what they are picking. So by the time they are 6, they have a certain esteem about themselves. So if all they are hearing is evil, they think they are evil. Does that make sense? It's very scary. So parents, let's get it right. Right from the beginning, you got to train them right. From 6 to 13, they form what we call the self-image. And the self-image is by what they see. Okay, so if you parents, you are fighting all the time and your children are seeing you fight, mom and dad fighting, and that's what they are seeing, that's the image they are forming without you telling or teaching them. If they are always exposed in school, fighting, insulting, killing, and all they are watching in the games is killing and shooting and killing and shooting, that's the image they are forming. Okay, most of the young people that kill in America and things like that, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just that they've been formed, they have an image that killing is joy. Okay, so help them. That's why it comes, you have to set the example. You got to be the leader from the beginning. Is that all right? So you decide the way you want your children to grow and you decide how you want to lead them. From 13 to 25 is their character or self-identity. So by 25 it's too late. You can't change them again. It's like when you are growing Pastor Eddie has this in his house. How do you call it? The grapevine. Okay, from the beginning it's very loose and simple, and everywhere you shape it, it will form. So but you get to a certain stage, you break it. If you try to form it, it will break. So by 25, it's too late to try and change your children. Does that make sense? That's why I'm advising the grandparents that it's too late. If you haven't modeled them already, forget about your children. Go for the grandchildren. And the reason I'm saying this is that the gay community in America has a video that is going around the system. They say, we are coming for your children. We are coming for your children. So if your children are busy going to work, grandparents, take the children, take protection of them, teach them the scriptures, pump the scriptures into their head by force. Because the Arabs are doing that. The Muslims are teaching their children by force to memorize the Quran. Force them. They say, oh, you are forcing us too much. Force them. Okay? Because when they grow old, the Holy Spirit will work with the scripture that is already in them. If there is no scripture, you are finished. Is that all right? So your self-identity is the identity of God. So how is God like? God is loving, God is good, God is just, God is right. But remember, God is also our judge. And he's going to judge us at the end. Okay? So let's fix it now so that the judgment will go right. So what works? I think Doctor said it nicely. Doc, be the parent. Just be the parent. That's your call. That's your responsibility. Just be the parent. Because most people, especially my lady friends, are trying to gain popularity with the children. Okay, so they're trying to be friends right at the beginning. And it's too late. You miss it. By the time they hit 13, it's too late. When you come in too hard to teach, you finish. They are not going to take it. So at the beginning, you are the parent. At the beginning, that's what is going to work. Not their friends. So what works, be the parent. Is that all right? I cannot stress that enough. What doesn't work? At the beginning, not a friend. Don't be a friend. Okay, be nice. Be a firm parent. Be just. Be loving and caring. Listening to them, but speak the truth. And defend the truth. Don't try to play and camouflage it and those kind of stuff. When you try to fix them at 14, 15, they will quote you. They don't forget. They will quote you. They will quote you. Okay? So if you want to discipline your children, if you don't want to discipline, you want to let them go like everybody is leaving their children to go, that's okay. But if you want to discipline them, you got to get it right at the beginning. Because remember that grapevine, if you try to fix it at the other end, you are breaking it, you will break it. So if your child doesn't break, you are going to break. One of you is going to break. If your child go to prison, will you be happy? If he get to medical school and he's on drugs and he cannot write the 4th-year exams, will you be happy? Do you want to break like that? It's too late, but it's going to happen if we don't do anything. So let's get it right from the beginning. And that's how you do it. You create the connections. Create connections. Okay, make trips with them, travel out with them. Let them sit in the car, just drive around. Like the guy who said, I'm far away. Make the phone calls. You see, I'm connected to them. Every social media, I'm connected. As soon as they open, I'm there. And then they leave because there's new ones coming every time. Because as soon as they see me, they go to the next one and I'm there. You can't make a bad comment on social media if you are called a young. I'm giving you a call right away. Right away, I'll call you. You can't. Because I'm there with them. Connect. Make the connections early. Okay, be nice. You are the parent. Every child wants to please their parent. I told you about the sports. When they were doing sports, because I'm always on the bench, they will hear my voice. I'm shouting. So when they get the ball, they want to see if dad is happy. And then when he see, he will shoot. And then you check dad is happy. Every child wants to please their parents. Okay, so don't think that when they throw tantrum, they want to please you. You got to take control. If you don't take control, they get control over you. So connect. Encourage them. Be there at the games. Okay, so you are working to make money for the family. That's amazing. But if they don't see you at the games, because you know, at the games, when we play games, we become happy. Okay? Now, when we are happy, the happiness chemicals get into the brain. So everybody around is the person that is making me happy. So if I cannot see my dad there, especially when they win award in school, you have to be there. Take a leave off from work. Spare one day of job, it's okay. You have to be there when they are playing the final. You have to connect with them right at the beginning. Is that all right? Connect early. So at the back end, then we can do the correction. And that's the discipline. That's all it's about. The discipline is about correction. But if you haven't told them the truth at the beginning, at 13, 14, it's very difficult. So beginning, let's fix it at the beginning. That's where the discipline starts. And then we go through. Now my first boy is 25. So he calls and I say, oh, you go this way, go left, go right, go. And we are just talking as adults now. But when he was 13, he has no say. I make the call. I decide which school to go, which church to attend. I decide. So this is what we're going to do. You're going to connect with them early. Okay? You don't have to correct everything at the beginning, but connect. So if they can trust you when you correct at the end, you have the power. But if there's no trust, it's very difficult to correct. Okay? So the discipline is that you don't have to be the policeman in the house all the time. Sometimes you have to bring joy. You got to create an atmosphere where they are happy and joy, and you don't have to check everything. You get it right, do this right, do this right. No, just relax sometimes. I mean, we all make mistakes. Don't forget when you were a child, you also make mistakes. Okay? So when kids make mistakes, it's okay. They are kids. We all make mistakes. But let's start early. Let's make the connection early. Let's correct. Now the correction, the way I take it is, you encourage them. Okay? Encourage the kids to do well early. So like, let's say, when my child went to year 11, Adam, who just finished, right from year 11, I've started talking about winning the DAX. We are talking about you are going to be the DAX. You are the best in mathematics. You are amazing in physics. And I'm encouraging. But he bring the results home and the English is not good. And then, okay, come. See, the English, you got to pick up reading a little bit. But if you are only looking for the mistakes, only the English is not good, English is not good. But this guy is amazing in mathematics. You got to talk about them. You have to encourage them where they are doing well. And then you have to challenge. That's the discipline. When they do something that is wrong, you ask questions. Hey, have you thought about it this way? Can you try this next time this way? Can you do this? And we are preparing. Okay, he didn't win the DAX. He got one of the top scores, but he didn't win the DAX. So what I'm telling him that you didn't win the DAX, but you got 2 weeks to exams. Can you become the best student in Kalgoorlie? So for 2 weeks, we work on that one, encouraging and challenging, lifting the game up. That's the discipline. You don't have to take them to police station and cane them and do all those kind of things. Encourage and challenge. Encourage and challenge. But start the connection early. Does that make sense? Any questions? Any questions? Or contribution? Any addition somebody want to add? Okay, while you are waiting, let's read these scriptures. So Apostle Paul says that be Strong. Be strong. He said, all the things that you have heard from me, that you have seen in me, you also commit to others. So that's what I tell my children. I'm the example. Copy me. What I do is the best thing. Copy. But some parents cannot let their children copy them. They cannot even let their children come close to their own friends. I'm exposing them to all my friends. Amazing. I shade them from the bad ones, but I'm introducing them to Pastor Bill, introduce them to Eric, to Pastor Joseph, to the good ones. Okay, so let them copy from you, Mariam. Oh, okay. So the last one says that all scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instructions. Who is giving your children instructions? Who gives them the instructions? Is it YouTube, Facebook, social media, or you? Who is giving the instructions? Or the teachers? I don't even know the teachers. Whether they are gay, they are Muslim, they are Hindu, we don't know. So who is giving the instructions? I give the instructions. Is that right? So parents, let's go back and give the instruction, but give it early. They say my time is up, so you ask the next speaker. Okay.
Can we? So I think we will have. Can you please jot your question down? Please jot it down so you don't forget, or else we're gonna. Yeah. So on the next speaker is also a doctor. Oh, okay.
Privacy. Okay, so before 13, I signed them up in social media. After 13, they can sign up themselves. But we are friends. Everybody have 1 million friends. So I'm a friend. So they go to social media, I send them a friendship request. They like my friendship. We are friends. So if they post, I see it. If I post, they see. I don't post bad stuff. So if they post bad stuff, I give them a call. It's not hard. Is that all right? That does answer the question. Oh, when do we allow it? I don't know. Anybody can help me? Computer, social media.
Thank you. So I mentioned earlier that you have to go back to the family. What pertains in your home? What are your family values? Every one of us have things we decide in our home. Some homes have certain rules, some homes don't. So you have to sit down and set the stage whether your child is ready to be on social media. I can't determine that for you. And I've discussed the guidelines, the checklist, things you look out for. If you feel that because your child is 13, they are ready, all well and good. But personally, I wouldn't do that because I have to assess readiness in those things I've mentioned in my slides. So once I have a look at it, doesn't have to be 100%. Once I assess the readiness and I feel that this child is ready to handle the pressures of social media, then go ahead and sign it up. But I can't say, oh, go and sign your child up because they are 16. Are they emotionally matured and stable to handle what goes on there? Can they manage their time? Can they control their impulses without being told what to do all the time? Some kids, they need to be told, go and brush your teeth, go and shower, go and eat, go and wear your undies, and they are teenagers. Those kind of children, you want to give them phones. So assessing readiness is up to you as a parent. That's why we keep going back to these things. Parenting is about you, not just the child is 16, give the child the phone. Look at your child. Are they emotionally ready to handle the pressures of social media? If you feel that they can't, fine, go ahead and do it. But I know that according to the law, most of the platforms say an age limit of 13. Some say 16. Do your due diligence, read the guidelines and policies that pertain to each platform you want your child to be on. Go through it, research it, and make the final call, whether they're ready or not. So don't put the responsibility to us. Your responsibility is a parent. Do your job as a parent.
And just a quick one. The thing is, once you put it on social media, where is the privacy anymore? So if you are a lady and you put your naked picture on social media and dad calling you and making a comment, where is the privacy? So you yourself, you made it public already, so there's no privacy here. So if you want the privacy, keep it on your phone or keep it in your diary. Don't put it on social media.
Thank you, Pastor Peter. So we're going to call Dr. Debbie the next 30 minutes to talk about sex. 20 minutes? Yeah, sex education and drug abuse prevention. Yeah. We have the time, don't worry.
Are you sure we have the time?
Oh, yes.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for coming and sparing your Saturday afternoon with all the things that you have to do, and for coming and listening. And we believe that God is here. And I know that there is something that you can pick today from here that you will start to do today differently to change your parenting. So I'm just going to talk about sex education. There are two topics they gave me for 20 minutes. It is well, but we'll see how we go. But I'm going to talk about sex education first, and then we'll talk about drug abuse prevention. So sex education, most of us probably are doing it already. Those are teachers, doctors, nurses, in some kind of health professional. You've done sex education to your clients and things like that. But sex education is the role of the parent. Sex education is not the role of the church or the school, but it's the role of the parent. Now, I don't know how it was in the West, but back home, the sex education we received was that when you start your period, if a boy touches you like this, you get pregnant. My fellow African ladies can concur. It's the same everywhere. That's what we all got. And that is probably what their parents too told them. And that was it. And we all went, you have to just navigate, okay, so what will I do? What happens? And we did not know. But now, there's a lot of information. We cannot afford to give that kind of sex education. I mean, our parents, of course, they did what they knew, but there is a lot of knowledge, a lot of information. This is a knowledge era. So we cannot afford to be shabby in our delivery of sex education or whatever it is we are doing for our children. There's a lot of things on Google, on the internet, that the children can even Google and all of that. But that's why we parents have to be well informed, seasoned information. When we are talking to them, they should know that, yes, this person knows what she's saying. And that's where I come to the power of first mention. The power of first mention means when you're the first person that mentions something to someone, then that person takes it as the gospel. And that person sees it that, okay, this is more authentic, this is really authentic. So when you are the first to mention sex to your children, when they go out there and their friends are talking about it, they'll be like, no, that's not what my mom said. That's not what my dad said. Then they can go back to you, Mom, my friend said this. And you say, no. And they'll say that, yes, you are a trusted and reliable source of information. Because silence is not a strategy. I don't know how to do this one. Can someone? Yeah. We cannot afford to be silent. If you are silent in parenting, your children will turn to whoever is talking or whatever is talking. The media, the phones, whatever. So we need to take the bull by the horn and talk. Now, why do we shy away from sex education sometimes? We are embarrassed, we are shy about it, or we feel that it will expose them. You don't want to take away their innocence. How can I be talking to my children about sex? What does that mean? It will make them become spoiled. They will become spoiled, or they will not be innocent anymore. But on the contrary, knowledge is a defense. Knowledge is power. When a child knows about things, they are empowered and they are able to make informed decisions when the time comes. And where is the best place to get it? From you, us, the parent. The other thing, I think I've said that about knowledge. Okay, I've talked about the fact that it's not the work of the government, it's not the job of the church, it's not the job of the school, it's the job of us, the parents. Can I get the next slide? Sex education is ongoing. So it's not something that you do just once, just sit, like a lot of us got that lecture before our wedding night or wedding day. Did you get the lecture? Me, I don't know, I can't even remember if I got a lecture because my mom was dead then, but a lot of us get lecture I don't know whether it happens here too, but in the African setting, you get a lecture before the wedding day, on the night of the wedding day. This is how you go, you are going to your husband's house, so this one, that one. Why are you just telling me that now? Really? So what you're telling me now is what I'm going to do tomorrow. So it is ongoing. It is not a one-off. And when is the right time to start? Now. The right time to start? Yesterday. The next best time? Now. And as early as childhood, from 0 years, sex education starts. Sex conversation starts. From baby, 0 to 2, we start step by step. Can I get the next slide, please? So sex conversation is not about explaining the mechanics of sex to the child. There are so many aspects, especially in this our generation now. There are so many aspects. Body safety, privacy, boundaries, good pictures, bad pictures, safe touch, unsafe touch, online media safety, online safety, what we've talked about, pornography, masturbation, crush, relationships, gender dysphoria, gender confusion. That's all part of sex education. Because if we do not tell them and inform them of what is applicable and what is expected of them, you will get surprises in future. And because somebody comes at the age of 16 and she's pregnant, and nobody told her that she shouldn't be going to nightclubs, or nobody actually sat her down to have the conversation that this is what obtains in our family. We are Christians and we don't do wild parties. Nobody took the time to say anything. So then you get surprises and then we're running a task and praying and fasting. No, we need to be proactive. Parenting is proactive, not reactive. And it's not about, oh, well, whatever God has given you. If God was going to parent the child, he will come down and parent, but he's not going to. He gave you. And said, be the caretaker. And that's why we are not doing it on our own. We're not here by ourselves. It's a calling, like Pastor said. God has called us to do it, and he's going to partner with us, and we need to get that partnership from the Holy Spirit to help us to do what we're doing. So how do we do it? Quickly. We need to have a strategy. We need to have a plan. What are the things? How am I going to go about? Where do I even start from? Now, even if you've never had any sex conversations with your children, you can start today. Even if they are 18, or they are 12, or they are 2, we start today. What are the strategies? Scenarios. So you can do, I know the teachers are very familiar with this. Bernat is very good with all the scenarios and things. But you can, but you can start with this, role plays and scenarios. You can discuss scenarios, come up with a scenario or role play, the one we did in our house. One thing that changed my parenting, and I'll talk about that later. But we did in our house, we did a role play of a scenario of, I think it was body safety. And we got the kids, okay, you, Morife, somebody has come to touch you the way you don't like. What are you going to do? Are you going to just be sheepy? I don't like it. No. You need to take charge. No, stop it. I don't like it. You need to define your boundaries. Now, the child might not know. I don't know. But when you have role played it at home, she has done it at home. She has shown. When she goes there, somebody touches her wrong, she's able to boldly and confidently say no. We need to role play these things at home. We need to act the drama. That is drama. That is being present. And I remember the one we did. My husband was the one that was the bully. Someone is bullying you, and go, what do you do? Will you just say, no, don't bully me? No, you need to take charge. Storytelling. Tell them your stories. Tell them about the crush you had when you were 12, and you did not know what to do about it. How you were also shaking when you saw the girl. Tell them, so that they know that it's normal and they don't feel abnormal when they have a crush. Because sometimes we are not approachable. The kids cannot even come and talk because you are the lion of the tribe of the home. So when they come to you, they are shivering. They cannot even talk. So when they come to you, they know that, okay, you're not going to flip the top. You're not going to just throw the towel, because your child can come and say, Mom, I have a boyfriend. Boyfriend! How will you have a boyfriend? In my time, I was only reading. In my time, I never thought of anything like that. My head was all in books and scriptures. I was so spiritual. I was just speaking in tongues. They need to know our own stories and how we navigated these things. And we can use that as conversation starters. That's how my husband too did his own too. He started with the crush that he had in this year, and they were so interested. Oh, really? So what now happened? So, unfortunately, of course, it's not me. The crush went. If the crush was still there, will I be here? But they were very interested and everything, and that way, of course, they'll be able to tell you when you're asking them other things. The other things we can do, use teachable moments. Teachable moments. When the child, a lot of us actually don't come out, where do babies come from? Let's not run away. That's not when we now, they asked me that question, my heart, I left it for my husband to come back and do it. Then the husband took it, he just squeezed his face. No. We are being silent. They will go and check on the internet. So when they ask, we need to be prepared, parents. We need to be informed. If they ask me this question, what am I going to say? How am I going to go about it? In fact, we don't need to wait for them to ask. We start the question. We initiate the question. Because if we wait, they might have gotten information somewhere else before you. You are too late to the party. So we need to initiate the conversation, prepare for the conversation. There are a lot of, I use raisingchildren.net.au, that's the Australian parenting website. There are lots of things there, so just look at the ones that are right. But I saw there was a checklist of how age-appropriate sex conversations. And I think that's what we need to go and learn about, how to, like, for example, a child 0 to 2, they should start knowing about their body part, what it is, the right name. It is a penis, it is a vagina, it is a vulva. That is what it is. Not is a doo-doo or a dodo. You know, what and the function of it. This is a penis, it is used to wee-wee. This is a vulva, it is used to urinate. So, and it is not a toy. You don't play with it. You don't touch it. Nobody else touches it. That is sex conversation. It starts from bathing. They're bathing and you're having those conversations with them. You can watch short educational videos on the topic you want to explore together. There are a lot of videos, short videos, maybe on online safety or something. Short video, watch it together, discuss it. You can read books on the topics together. Have a sex conversation plan. See, anything that is not planned or scheduled does not get done. We've listened to so many things today, but if you don't have a plan of how you're going to implement what you have learned, it has entered 1 ear, it has come out. Maybe you remember 1 or 2. But we need to, that is intentionality. We need to have a plan. And the plan must include, how am I going to talk about this? What are my family values and belief system? Do you know, our children need to know what our family values are early. What are our family values concerning premarital sex? What's our family value concerning dating? Because by the time they get to teenage years, that is what everybody is doing. So they need to know what obtains and is applicable in their DME family. Not that then, because they will now start coming, my friend is doing that. No, you should have had the conversation long before. So that there is no question of what my friend is doing or what is not doing. This is just not applicable. This is the way we do things. So we need to define our family values early and explain to our children. And then you need to decide, when am I going to talk about it? You can decide once a week. I think we have ours once a week or once a fortnight. Once a week, once a fortnight. Wednesday night, 7 to 7:30, sex conversation. And then you can use any of these strategies. We're going to talk about baby, whatever it is. Because we need to start early. See, there's an urgency in parenting. Once they are 18, that's it. If your child is 14, you have 4 years. If you count it like that, how many weekends do you have in a month? You have 52 weekends in a year. Don't use it to play. You have just 52, so you have to be at home. I'm sorry I'm shouting. Pastor Joe, you say I should enjoy. I'm just being like you. So we have a short time with our children. Even if they are 17, you have that short time. Treat it with a sense of urgency and do what needs to be done. And then have a feedback system. Go on a date with your children. Go on a date with them. Have a one-on-one talk with them. My husband goes on a date with his girls because he doesn't want one boy to come and be the first person to date them. No, I will be the first date. We go on a date with them. If you have to cut down your hours, cut down your hours. That's what we did. We cut down our hours. Yes, we are doctors. Yes, we need to work. But these children, they won't wait. Once they are going, they are going. Once the time is gone, it's gone. I was working in Kambalda 7 years. And then I remember they kept begging me, Deborah, don't go. We'll give you 80%. We'll give you this percent. We'll give you that percent. I said, no, it's done. My children did not know me. The twins, they didn't even know me. When they see me like this, Daddy, who is this one? Because I was not at home. 7:30 I've gone. 7 o'clock I'm back. 1 hour. What's that? No, I said, that's it. I've been at home with them for 2 years and the difference is clear. Please, what's the next slide? I think okay. Okay, law of first, please go to the next slide. So age-appropriate sex conversation. I'm not going to go through that one by one because I know it's going to take time, but we should just look at it. 0 to 5 years, there's some specific guidelines. You can do your research. There's a lot of information online, what you should be doing, what you should be talking to them about. On that website, I looked at, for children that are young, when they ask you, where do babies come from? They can understand things like, you need a sperm and an egg to make a baby. It's just as simple as that. Where do I come from? You came from mommy's tummy. You came out through mommy's vagina. Or the doctor cut through the You need to say those things. There is nothing wrong in there. And the children, when they see that you are saying those things freely, they realize that, okay, it's normal. There is nothing to be shy about. There's nothing to be ashamed about. From the age 6 to 8, you need to start talking about puberty. Puberty starts at the age of 9. A lot of them are getting periods at the age of 9, 10. Whereas in our own time, it was 13, 14. In fact, I thought that when I was like, what, really? I thought I still had time. No, there's no time. 6 to 8 years, you need to start having those conversations. Who is going to have the conversation? You can't just expect them to find out or to discover. You need to start having conversations about their emotions, what's going to change, when they get to puberty, their emotions, acne, hormones, periods, morning erection, wet dreams. We need to talk about them one by one after the other, and let them understand what we're saying. 9 to 13, you need to talk about boundaries, sexual abuse, pornography, masturbation. See, online, they say masturbation is good. That's what they said online on all those ones. That is good, but it should just be private. No, it's not good. And if we don't tell them before they go and read it online, or at school, because they teach them at school, and those are the things they teach them at school. But if I had told them and cooked them very well at home and explained to them how that it can lead to addiction, it's a source of pornography, addiction, everything, and finish your whole life, then at least when they listen to this child, first mention, my mommy has said it, my dad has said it. We need to get to the party early. 9 to 13, start promoting abstinence. 13 to 18, talk about dating, marriage, premarital sex, contraception, abortion. Talk about everything. There should be nothing that the children cannot talk to you about. And I think finally, am I on my finally? Yeah, in conclusion, for the sex conversation one, have an accountability system on your parenting journey. My sister said you can't parent alone. One thing I did beginning of this year, I joined the parenting school. See, we need to keep learning. As we keep learning, we keep growing, we keep becoming, no matter how old we are. Because age, if you say you are too old to learn, then you are too old. But if you agree that you are not too old to learn anything, then God can reach you. We need to be humble enough, and vulnerable enough for God to reach us. A lot of time, the answer to that prayer is just next door. Somebody has the answer. But sometimes we just feel that, no, I don't need it, I'm too this, I'm too that. We need to allow God to reach us. Put ourselves in an accountability system. I joined that parenting school. We have daily tools, daily connection tools, weekly connection tools. You will connect with your child. You must read a parenting book every month. You must do, activities, assignments, and things like that. Online courses, podcasts, books on parenting. When was the last time you read a book on parenting? Parents. When was the last book we read on parenting? When was the last? So it's like a school. You're telling your children to learn this, to learn that. You're not learning anything. How do you want to do something differently? How won't you reproduce the kind of parenting your parents did if you are not learning anything different? We cannot use the methods they used, though. There was no internet that time. If you want to parent well now, we need to learn evidence-based current guidelines. What works now? Don't do parenting alone. You can do all things. Philippians 4 verse 13. I know that you might feel overwhelmed. All these things Deborah said, where will I start from? Don't mind my drama. I'm very dramatic. I used to act drama back home. But you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Quickly, I'm going to go to drug abuse prevention. And then we'll talk about, then we'll ask questions. I know people have questions. Drug abuse. Drug abuse prevention education. Why do we need to talk about it? Drug abuse prevention is not the responsibility of the government, the schools, the churches. It's the responsibility of us, the parents. Why do we need to talk about drugs of abuse? They are highly addictive and it's not a respecter of persons. I'll tell us a story about a guy. Every time I hear about drug abuse, before last year or this year, I just feel, drug abuse, it can't happen. My children, no, they're coming from a Christian family. No. But the truth about it is that we need to be aware, we need to be informed, because there's a lot of drugs around us. There's a lot, if the statistics are there, we see the patients every day. There's a lot of, so how drugs are, compared to when we were growing up, the way drugs are now, how prevalent it is. Doesn't it make sense for us to inform our children about it? There was a guy, so I learned a lot from him. His name is David, he's a Nigerian. He grew up in a Christian family, Christian home, church every day, every time there's church, went to Bible study all the time. He was even preaching at the age of 13. And so on and so forth. Nothing about, no issues, good home, good money, they were okay. Then the first place he saw drugs was at the university, a Christian university. That was where he was exposed to it in the first time. Yes, he was able to walk away from that. Then he went to the UK to do his master's. His roommates were there and they were all using drugs. And they kept on taunting him every day, use drugs. He was saying no until he succumbed. He succumbed one day and that led to 7 to 8 years of severe drug addiction before God delivered him. Now, because he did not have the skills to be able to say no, he was a Christian. He was brought from a Christian home. He was spiritual, but he just didn't have the skills, the refusal skills, the emotional intelligence, the wisdom. He should have left. He shouldn't have stayed in that room. He shouldn't have stayed with them. That one, you don't need, and so on. Anyways, so what I'm just saying is not a respecter of persons. Whether you're a pastor's child, or you grew up in church, or you are in, do you understand? Anybody can be exposed to it. Now, what he keeps saying is that his parents, they brought him up in the way of God, but they never mentioned anything. He had never heard anything about drugs before in his life. So, but if he knew that this is what drug is, this is what it will do, these are the consequences, then he will be able to make an informed decision. So he got there, he saw them using drugs, and he saw the way it made them high, and he was like, wow, maybe this is something I should, something that I should get as well, because of what effect it was having on them. So education is empowerment. We need to educate. What are the drugs that the other reason why we should make sure that we have this education is because prevention is the best way out of drug abuse, because the cure is not sure. A lot of people, we have them, they keep relapsing in and out. They never get better. Some people never get better. There are stories of people, there are people that get better and, they've eventually formed foundations and do things and do rehabs and all, but some people just never get better. Some people get irreparable damage, psychosis. I used to have a patient where I used to work before. It was at her 18th birthday that they introduced the drugs. Now she's psychotic forever. Where was the parent on the 18th birthday? Oh, you leave them, let them experience life, then they make their decisions. If somebody had been the parent at that time, they might have been able to forestall a lot of things. What are drugs of abuse? We know alcohol, cigarette, vape, cocaine, methamphetamine, marijuana, MDMA, ecstasy, the list, inhalants, glue, sniff, so many, the list goes on. Hopscotch, cough syrup, even prescription drugs. But what I want to say to us parents, do you know what these drugs look like? Some of us don't. In fact, when I was like, it's true, some of them I don't know. You need to know, because MDMA, ecstasy, that looks like a pink tablet, can be sitting nicely on your table, and you would think it's a tablet. Now, if any child is smoking or having drug abuse under our roof, and we don't know, it's not good. It's irresponsibility. We need to be aware. Some parents, their children, like someone said, they don't know. You don't know. I don't know. There's nothing like I don't know. You don't know. You should know. Google them if you don't know and see what it looks like. We know, why do teenagers use drugs? There's so many things: ignorance, pressure to fit in, inability to say no, all of those things. But the law of first mention comes in here as well, just the same way with sex education. The law of first mention. If you're the first person to talk to them about it and tell them the consequences, the dangers, what they tell them is that to make you smart. Your mind will be sharp, sharp. Your mind will be clear. You will see. Or like most of my patients, what they tell them, it will help you with your anxiety. You'll be calm. Now, it does those things, but very, very transient, because the risk outweighs the benefits. So it will help you to be calm. It will help you with your insomnia. You'll be able to sleep. Some people even use it every night to sleep, and so on and so forth. So someone that doesn't know, a child that doesn't know, is unaware, doesn't know what's something, then she goes to the university and someone just tells her all of this. Oh, really? It helped me to sleep. It helped me to pass the exam. And that is it. Addiction is so strong. They take it once, that's it. It really will take God for some people to be able to overcome it. Can I get my next slide? Do I have a next slide? Okay. Yeah. And so there are signs of potential drug abuse in a child, and there's so many signs there. I don't want to go through all of that, but personality changes, skipping school, so on and so forth, presence of drug paraphernalia in the home, needles, pipes, rolling papers, missing prescription drugs. We just need to be alert. Now, I'm not saying we should go and start suspecting our children, no. Or start suspecting everybody now. But what I'm just trying to say is that we shouldn't sit down somewhere in one hole and say, Kai, it can never happen to me. No, my children are too. No. Let us be sharp and be alert. The side effects of drug abuse, or the effects, death, it kills. I can't explain. It's a lot to explain. Addiction, mental illness, psychosis, that one is very common. If you go to the mental health ward, Doc, you know better now. The mental health ward, the percentage of people that have psychosis, it's true drugs. It's not even the normal, it's true drugs. So we need to be alert and awake as patients, as parents. What do we do as parents? Number one, we need to be spiritually sensitive. The Bible talks about the sons of Issachar that understood the signs and of the time. We as parents, we need to understand the signs of the times. Is it Philippians? I can't remember the scripture now. He said, be as the wise, walk circumspectly, not like fools. Because if we don't know and we are just staying there in silence, ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is not an excuse. We need to be spiritually sensitive. Because something like that going on in your house, the Holy Spirit will reveal it to you. Because while you are spiritually sensitive, you are praying for your children, you are speaking over their lives, you are spiritually alert. Sometimes it's the parent that will pick it. The child might not even be doing anything wrong, but they might be about to, and you pick it in the spirit. We need to be spiritually sensitive. Open communication, non-judgmental. we need to be approachable. See, if your children cannot talk to you, it's a problem. We need to be approachable and to be able to communicate with our children. So now, age-appropriate drug prevention education, just like the sex education one. I'm not saying that you should go and tell your 6-year-old about cocaine. But what I'm saying is that the skills to be able to prevent drug abuse in future, we need to start teaching it now. Do you know that phone that you're not giving them, or that iPad that you're collecting from them when they're throwing tantrum, that's the drug abuse prevention, because you're teaching them delayed gratification. You're teaching them how to say no, how to refuse. And all of these are life skills that we need to teach them. Emotional regulation, stress management, how to manage stress. So when you are stressed, what do? You can give them guidelines, what to do, how to act, how to regulate their emotion when they are stressed, so that they don't turn to drugs in future. So some people don't know, some children don't know how to manage themselves, and that's why that phone or that TV or that iPad that we are giving them to manage their stress or their tantrum, we are not helping them. We are putting them at risk, because in future, when they don't have healthy ways of managing stress, then these options can be there. So same thing like I said with sex education, role play, scenarios. Somebody comes to present you with something that you don't know. What do? You need to ask those questions. Somebody give you a powder. What do you do about it? Say sniff it. It will make you cool. Do a role play at home and see what they're going to do, and teach them what to do. Do I have the next slide? Also, we need to teach them, so from 6 to 8, safe use of prescription medications, alternatives to medicines, relaxation skills, we need to teach them. I think I can't see what I'm saying anymore. Where's the last one? My time is up, sorry. Okay. Finally, do I have a finally? Let me put my finally there. So foster high self-esteem, build strong refusal skills. I'm sorry, no time to do a lot of justice to the topic, but my focus here today is to make us wake up if you are sleeping, and to realize that drug abuse is not far-fetched. We are praying, but you don't stop at prayer. You add works to your faith. So we are praying and fasting, God, my children, but what are I need to educate. If I don't educate my children about drugs and I send them to university, it's a problem. If I'm going to send them out of the house, out of my reach, I need to educate them properly. God forbid is not a parenting strategy. Because we Africans, God forbid, it's not my portion. It's not a strategy. It does nothing. Educate, educate, educate. Let us make use of teachable moments. When we are driving past the pub, Mom, what's that? That is the pub. They drink alcohol there, they do this, that. Use it as an opportunity. You see someone smoking, vaping, this person is smoking, that is cigarettes. It will kill you. It will give you lung cancer. You need to use the teachable moments. Look for teachable moments. And if you don't find teachable, create teachable moments. Create a positive and friendly atmosphere in the home where things can be discussed without judgment. And then set rules and expectations early about parties, sleepovers, schoolie at the end of school. All the things that they will do and they will go. Let them know about it. Create expectations. What is expected of you as a child of God. And develop and implement a drug abuse prevention education plan in your home, just like with the sex education as well. Thank you. Any questions? Yeah.
Wow, I am blessed. And I'm challenged. I am challenged. And Ophniel, my 6-year-old, one day asked me a question. So, Mommy, where did I come from again? And that day we had that conversation. We had it. It was a very difficult one. I was very honest with them, like where they actually came from. And I was like, oh my God. And my husband was working night shift. So, as Debbie said, he's 6 years. And one day I remember them having a conversation, him telling John, oh, Jacob says he's good at wooing the girls. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what did you say? And they use an Australian term, so I couldn't understand the term. I'm like, what did you say again? And he was smiling. I'm like, what did you say again, Ophniel? So he said it, and I went to work, and I asked one of my colleagues, what does this term mean? So it's no joke. He is 6 years old. He's 6. I know I have a very big task ahead of me. So we need to keep our game up. Educate, be present, be there. Please jot your questions. If it comes along, just jot it down. For our final speaker, we've got Joniel from the Baptist Church. We are very blessed and honored to have her with us. And she's going to talk to us about self-care and emotional intelligence of parents. Yeah, so self-care and emotional intelligence for parents. Thank you.
Hi, so I'm Jonine from 24/7 Church.
Oh, sorry.
And close enough, you know. I'm a child of God. It fits all of those categories. So I'm just going to go through a bit of self-care and emotional intelligence. So we talked in a couple of the sessions today about prevention, and really when we're talking about emotional intelligence, that's really one of those preventative things that you can tap into as a parent. So I have used a bit of a model. Let's skip that one. No, let's skip that. So back one. Thank you. Do you want me to? I know which way to point. So there is a bit of a model. This one is actually based on a leadership model of emotional intelligence, which, you know, as parents, we are leaders, so it kind of fit the information quite well. Emotional intelligence is, there's been a lot of research in the last 30 years, but prior to that, there wasn't really much. Emotional intelligence, it includes things like knowing appropriate knowledge, management, and expression of emotions. So overall, it really is how do we understand emotion? What does that look like? How do we know ourselves to be able to recognise emotions in others? Things like that, which then affect relationships. So there are four main parts to this particular model: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. So let's click to the next one. So self-awareness is the ability to understand our own emotions and our effects on performance. It's the ability to understand how other people are affected by our emotions, and it's about recognising your own emotions, your values, what drives you, your sense of purpose, which then helps you to kind of decide what you're going to do next. So how do we know we have it? Like, if people have got good self-awareness, often we'll see that as a self-confidence, the ability to realistically assess themselves. So how often have you had a conversation with someone where maybe someone's asked them a question, how are you at basketball? Oh, I'm awesome at basketball. You know, I'm the best basketballer in the world. And yet you see them play basketball and you're going, I'm not seeing it. It's a bit like that with that self-awareness. If they're lacking the ability to kind of see that they do relationships well, then self-awareness is maybe one of those things that is lacking. Okay, so there are lots of ways that we can look at emotion. So to be able to improve in self-awareness, we can look at taking time to sit in and think about the emotions. So when something happens, I'm not just going to be going, I'm mad, I'm sad, I'm happy. They're very broad kind of ideas of emotions. It's like, well, actually, what is the particular emotion I'm feeling here? Am I disappointed? Do I feel like a trust is broken? Like what's actually going on? Like, why am I feeling this way? Why am I reacting that way? So taking the moment when you react to something as a parent, or your child reacts to something as a child, taking that moment to go, what made me react? What is it that I'm feeling here? What am I thinking about when I feel that way? And actually having a bit of reflection, it helps us to understand our emotions and our thoughts better. And the more we can kind of break down exactly what that emotion is, the more we can improve in our self-awareness. Because once we know what it is, we can work with it. So, spend some time understanding and assessing your own emotions. It can be a bit daunting at first when you start to do that, but it is helpful. So, understanding what your own triggers are and what your child's triggers are. So what are those things that if I said to you, look, I want you to go into the room and I want you to set your child off. Like, we kind of all know what those things are. So those kind of things that trigger them emotionally, like what is going on for them in those moments? Are we actually going back and having a discussion about what's happening for them? How are you feeling? Like, what makes you do that? I'm really interested, that curiosity, instead of going, hey, that's not how we behave in our household, but actually going back and going, whoa, we talk really respectfully to each other in our household. For you to talk to me like that makes me think something is going on here. What's happening for you? You must be feeling terrible. And really kind of exploring those things. It helps them to become a bit more aware, helps them to give more words to what's going on for them, because the last thing we want to do is kind of shut down the emotion, just saying you're not allowed to feel that way. It can lead to things called, like a thing called fawning, where people get used to not being allowed to express themselves, and it actually puts them at risk of abuse later on. Because it's like, oh, I'll just do what you tell me to do. I'll do what you tell me to do without actually thinking that through and being prepared. And it can also mean that you see things differently in your house than what is happening for them outside of the house, where they maybe feel a bit safer to express it. Far better to have the conversation and actually figure out what's going on. So people need to be able to clearly understand their values, to understand the decisions that they make, and and the information they're using to make those decisions. Getting feedback from others is really good. So even as parents, if we're going, no, I'm awesome at having emotional discussions, and yet every time you try to have one of those, it ends up in an argument or a conflict. You're probably not quite as awesome as you maybe think you are, but there's always room to improve. So actually getting that feedback from your partner, from your family, going, I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. Can you help me out? Sometimes it might be a look on my face or a tone of voice or something that I can change that can help to make things go a lot better. But having that awareness ourselves is important for us to be able to help our children to have that awareness. So self-management. So self-management or self-regulation is the ability of people to use their awareness of their emotions, so that first part, to be able to be flexible, to positively direct your behaviour in a variety of environments. So we want people to be able to use their emotions in a healthy way that's going to build relationship. So it has a couple of parts to it. There's emotional self-control, so emotional balance. Being able to keep your emotions and impulses under check, even when you're in a hostile situation, like where things are not going well and you're getting distressed, or and you're not able to. If you bring out the emotions that you're feeling, it's not going to be safe for you to do that. So being able to actually have that, and sometimes we'll see that in kids, I guess, when they're feeling distressed in a school situation, they're not feeling heard, they're not sure what to do with that. and we might see kind of an explosion of behaviour or something like that. So, so we want them to be able to have that emotional self-control, to be able to stay calm and level-headed, even under stress in a crisis. Who do I go to? How do I speak about this? We want people to have a positive outlook, and the positive outlook is for people to see positive even in difficult situations. So to be able to, when things don't go right, how can I move past that? How can I move past the setback and be able to, this idea of being comfortable with being uncomfortable. So it's okay. If things go wrong, it's okay. I'll be okay. I'll be able to manage that. We'll find another way. We'll come back, reset, and make a plan. So that positive outlook, it can help, because if people sit in disappointment and devastation, they don't tend to look for solutions. And achievement. So being competent with achievement means that we strive for a standard of excellence. We look for ways to do things better. We set challenging goals and calculated risks. Like we're saying, we want to challenge. And being adaptable. So being flexible, being able to handle change, to be able to juggle multiple demands. We've all got things coming at us, and being able to flick between one thing and another is important, and to be able to get a balance in our life. So people that have high self-management skills, typically we can see that they're patient, they understand situations, they're good listeners. Those that have low self-management skills tend to respond very quickly. They let their emotions rule their behaviour, and sometimes we can see things like verbal abuse and things like that come out. So other ways that we can grow in this is to learn not to react. So take a moment when you're feeling like you want to react as a parent in your parenting, or when you can see your child wanting to react. It's the same sort of thing. Like if you can learn these skills, you can teach them the skills as well. So, sorry, didn't go forward. Oh, see, now I don't know where's the actual clicker thing? Yeah, I thought so. Right, next slide. Anyone? Aha! Just breathe. Great slide to be coming up with. Okay. So there are things that we can do. There's this idea of reorienting or repositioning, and there's a skill called grounding. So some of you will have heard of that before. So when we feel like things are out of control, I just can't get a clear head. My blood has rushed to my extremities because I'm feeling threatened, and my brain is not functioning the way that it should. So just taking a moment, and as a parent, it might be, I'm just going to go get a cup of tea. I'll come back and deal with this in a minute once I've come down. So grounding is about trying to reconnect that thinking part of your brain again. So it might be something like, all right, can everyone look around the room and tell me all the green things that you see? Anyone see any green things in the room? What was that? Flowers, earrings, screen, yeah. So even that, like it just connects that logical part of your brain back into the room. So it might be, all right, let me see 5 things that I can see in the room, 4 things that I can feel, 3 things I can smell. It's connecting that again, and it helps to kind of settle what's going on. The other thing that works really well is breathing. It's amazing how good breathing is for us. It just kind of settles down some of those hormones that have kicked in, some of that threat response that we get. So even as parents, when we're feeling heightened, those big breaths. So we want to just get that carbon dioxide out. We just have big breaths and calm ourselves down. And it's incredible how quickly your heart rate will drop when you concentrate and just give yourself a couple of moments. Other things that you can do to prepare for self-management is prepare your mind for situations. So as parents, we're going, look, every time we have this, every time, morning routine, it might be just before dinner, we have madness, or every time I told my child, no, they won't be able to go to a party, it might be a moment of madness. But if I prepare my mind for that situation and go, okay, what are my options here? What will this look like? It means that in that moment, I'm less likely to be emotionally reactive. Same with our children, we can say to them, look, I know that these situations are difficult for you every time you kind of face it. Something we have to do, so therefore, what do you think could happen? How are we going to manage that if you're in that situation? So getting them to be prepared for those things. And be accountable for a reflection. Like your partners, your family, like if you're able to be open and honest with them and go, look, if I have moments where I'm not kind of controlling my emotions, give me feedback on that, because I want to be somebody that gets better. And really seeking to understand the perspective of others. So taking the time, if something hasn't gone well, or if I've had a conflict, if I've had a conflict with my child, if I've had a conflict with my partner, and again, having that conversation with the children, if they've had conflicts, okay, what do you think the other person was thinking at that time? What do you think they were feeling? And being able to get someone else's perspective just kind of helps bring a little balance. It doesn't mean that the other person was right in what they did, but it can kind of help us to understand why they maybe behaved or said or did what they did. All right, moving on. It's magic. Okay, social awareness is, so that's our ability to accurately notice the emotions of others, read the situation appropriately, sensing what other people are thinking and feeling to be able to take their perspective. So it's also about using empathy, and it helps us to create and maintain healthy relationships. So empathy isn't sympathy. So it's not feeling sorry for someone, feeling like you have to rescue them. It's not that. Empathy is about, I understand why you might be feeling that way. So it's just, it's tied to compassion. So, we don't get into a position where we're drowning with problems, like with people in their problems. So listening to them attentively, take an interest in their concerns, you pick up cues, even those unspoken things, like if you're paying attention. Empathy is also about knowing how to kind of tap into that thoughtful consideration around people's feelings, and then making intelligent decisions to respond to them, not just getting drawn into that. It also has emotional organisational awareness. So the skill of an organisational awareness is the ability to read a group's emotional current, power relationships, kind of see what's happening in the social dynamic. So not kind of in a position where I'm going to be approaching a group that actually it's very clear I'm not going to be completely accepted into in the first place. So really important for our kids to kind of be able to read group dynamics and having those conversations around that as well. Okay, people with good heightened social awareness can perceive others' emotions, they're good at building relationships, they often employ active listening. So active listening also includes use of body language. So how do we improve social awareness? For you, focus on the person in front of you, like actually really, like we were saying before, be present, but be present in the moment. So not being too distracted by your own thoughts, but actually active listening allows you to kind of pick up on those clues, like really looking what's happening, what can I see on their face? So often I'll have a meeting and people go, yep. And then you'll say something and you'll just see a micro emotion on their face. And where before I used to go, I don't know what that's about, I'll actually say, oh, what was that? You don't have to agree with me. I'm okay. You know what would offend me. So what was that on your face? I can see that something happened there. So actually being open to have those conversations. Pick it up. Use of body language and understanding the dynamics of social space can be really difficult for kids, but understanding space, you can encourage them to kind of walk around, be observant, have a look. Okay, last one of these. So relationship management is the ability to take your own emotions, the emotions of others, and the context to manage social interactions successfully. So there is, I'm just gonna go forward. It's really important to have emotional intelligence because it actually helps us to have those healthy relationships. It's important for us to have it as parents, and it's important for us to actually have those conversations and teach it to our kids. If they've got better emotional intelligence, they're more likely to make good decisions, and they're more likely to understand those social situations and be able to navigate them really well. So even things like when it comes to making choices about, whether I'm going to engage in drug use or I'm going to get onto some inappropriate online content, if I'm going, oh, that doesn't feel right, then maybe it's something that will help keep in check. And if I've had those emotional discussions with my parents before, I can go, oh, this thing came up, I don't know what it was, it just didn't feel right. It opens up the conversation. We really don't have a lot of time to go into self-care, but I do want to point out it's a really important thing for parents. Again, for us to be in the best place as parents when we're actually raising children and trying to make sure that they're healthy human beings, we need to have a balance in our life. And a balance doesn't mean, 20% of this and 20% of this and 20% of this and 20%. Sometimes balance looks like, yes, I do have a big workload, but because I have a big workload, that means that I need to be very present in the moment when I do have that time with my kids. I need to make sure I'm getting enough sleep. I need to make sure that I'm looking after my own health and be in the optimal kind of position to be able to make good decisions myself. So Healthy Mind Platter is a really good one to look at all of the things that are suggested. We want to make sure we're doing something of each day to be in the optimal kind of mind frame. And there are lots of checklists online as far as self-care, but what you do need to do is be intentional about self-care. That's not how you spell either of my names, but don't worry about that. It's close. It was closer than the first one. If you don't, like someone said before, if you don't plan, it's not going to happen. And so being really intentional about do I even notice how much sleep I'm getting? Do I notice how much time I've let things slip? Do I notice I'm not actually catching up with friends anymore? Or am I being really intentional about, okay, for my own health, then I need to be able to do those things. So I'm just encouraging you, be really intentional about taking care of yourself. God created you and he loves you, and so he doesn't expect you to be put to the side at the you to be at the expense of others' health. So be all that you can be as a parent. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. God bless you. I am blessed, I am challenged, I am pushed, I am encouraged, and I know you are too. Thank you all for being here today. I think it's okay for us to open the floor for some questions. If you jot any questions down that you wanted to ask. Online question. Okay. So an online question. It says, what sort of questions should parents ask their kids overseas at their level? Is that the right question?
It was a question I was sent when It was a question I was sent when I was taking the topics. So I've written a little note here to try and answer that question. For children, time is love. You can't say you love your children. You have to create that time. And I know things happen. Maybe your children you are walking away from home, you can't see them, or maybe you're separated and your kids are not with you. You have to create that time. That's the currency you have. And like my sister said here, you don't have time. Everything else that is done is damage control. Sometimes, if you've missed out or made mistakes, no one is here to judge, but you have to create that time as a parent. Even if you are working 24 hours, I'm sure no one works 24 hours round the clock here. We have time to parent our children. And financial obligation is not enough. You can't say, oh, I'm working so that I can, to make life better for my children. Children don't care about how much money you make. They are more interested in you looking at the ants on the floor. That's what they remember, more than the fancy clothes and the toys you buy for them. So you have to create time. And how you can bond with them, you need that connection. We keep hammering on this connection. It's not only being physically there in the home. Okay, it's school holidays, I'm at home now. But you're not there emotionally. You're just there physically. You're somewhere, and the kids are around. Oh, I'm at home now with the kids. But what's that connection? You don't have it. So it starts from connection. So you can ask questions. If you've not connected with your children, don't expect they will open up to you and start telling you all their secrets. It's not magic. It starts gradually. So for those who have not had a connection with their child, you don't expect them to start rambling about everything that happened in their day, but take the first step. How are you doing? What's going on? The little things. How was your day? Anything interesting happened today? If they are much older kids, sometimes they will give you yes or no answers, or that's how some teenagers answer you. Everything good. How is everything? Good. So even if they answer you like that, don't be flustered. Just start from somewhere and start building from them. Simple questions. How was your day? Anything interesting happen? If they don't answer you, you tell them, okay, today I went to work. There was this friend I had. Oh, she wore a pink dress. Start like that. If they are not willing to answer, even if they're just silent and you're upset, like, oh gosh, I'm just rambling. Keep rambling. Keep trying. Keep telling them about your own day. Keep engaging with them. Little things. Oh, I prayed about something. Something was on my mind. Oh, you are on my mind. I decided to pray about it for you. You talk to them. Initiate it. If they give you one answer, that's fine. Start from there and start picking up gradually. And also be present, please. You can't say, oh, I'm working. Even if you are working overseas, I'm sure you have leave. Even if you don't have leave, you have to make that. You create it out of nothing. You can't say you're parenting in absentia. It doesn't work. You have to be there. Time, we keep saying, is the currency in parenting. And once you lose it, everything else is damage control.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other question? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, first of all, I want to say I thank the organizers of this program so much. I've learned a lot, and I wish I had some of this information earlier, because my kids are already 20 and 17, getting to 18, so I've missed out somehow. But by God's grace, they are still in God and they're still doing well. There hasn't been any major casualty yet, and it will not come. But then my question for Mr. Peter is, Pastor Peter, he was saying that you need to connect early, and he gave age range, and the last age, if you are not able to do it, means you have lost it. And you should go in for the grandkids and other things. So I wanted to know, maybe you didn't know, now you know your children are at that age. Is there not a way of going back, trying to reconnect? Because if you don't do that, you may not even get access to the grandkids to connect with.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is a very, very good question. What I would say is that parents always take the lead. Okay, so don't be afraid. If you've missed it, take the lead. But this time as a friend, not a parent. When they hit 25 and above, there's no need to try and parent anymore, unless they come to you for advice. That's why I say it's too late. So come in as a friend, because people listen to their friend. Even you listen to your friend at 50 something. I listen to my friends. I listen to Pastor Bill. So if you go as a friend, you will gain access. But if you are waiting for them to come and apologize, because I'm the dad, I'm the champion, I'm the king, it's too late. That one, you miss it. So if you realize that, yes, they are grown up already, we've made a mistake, it's okay. Then you come in as a friend. I think we will make a way that way.
I guess the thing is, it can be done, it's just harder because those things are set, and our brain has pathways. So what happens is, if we keep taking the same path, it's just like going through a jungle over and over and over again. When we come to a crisis or we come to make a decision, we go, oh, this is the path I take. But if you're wanting something to change, you've got to do something different. And when those connections and you're trying to reach out and be positive, the new experiences start to make a new path. So if they'll engage in it, you can start to make a new way of responding, a new way of connecting with each other, and the brain will adjust. It's amazing. God has just created us so amazingly that we can do it. It's just harder because of the natural thing.
Thank you so much. I think that will be the last question. Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate your presence and know how busy we all are, like you all are. You've made time, we've passed our time. Apologies for that, but I know it's not time wasted. God bless each and every one of us for being here. And it is my prayer that from today, we will be the intentional parent that God wants us to be. I believe the kids that God has given unto us are gifts. And one thing I keep saying, I tell my husband all the time, one thing I never want God to say to me, that Marian, you have disappointed me. It's something that so everything that I do, everything we have a conversation. I'm like, I don't want to stand before God and God tells me, I gave you this man, I gave you this marriage, I gave you this kid, I gave you this thing, and what did you do? I am highly disappointed. It's going to break me. So now that we have the chance, all hope is not lost. We still have the chance. We still have the time to make things right. Do not be overwhelmed. Do not be discouraged. It's hard, but as David said, with God, all things are possible. Thank you so much for being here. Now we call on Pastor Bill to bless us. And as we finish with the prayer.
Thanks very much, Marian, and thank you to all the speakers. We'll just give thanks. Father, we thank you, Lord, for everyone here, Lord, and the children that are represented, Lord. Everyone's in a different situation, different age children, some grandchildren, some young, some older. But Lord, we know that you love them more than we love them all, God. And so we just commit them into our hands. And Lord, all the practical things have been spoken about today, about what we need to do. And but also, Lord, I just thank you that we can pray for our children, Lord. And we pray, Father God, that you just raise up praying parents, oh God, because at the end of the day, we're required to do the things that you've called us to do, but by the grace of God, Lord, we'll see them come through. In Jesus' name, amen. God bless, guys. Thanks.
Tea, coffee, juice, some nibbles at the back. Please help yourself. It's here because of you. And find time to socialize. Ask the questions between parents, how they are doing it. Thank you so much for coming. God bless you all.